October is a strong month. There is a reality check, I think, that comes with October. We have a solar eclipse that is going to initiate a whole new journey. Of course, we have had a recent shift in the nodes. We have the Aries North Node, the Libra South Node axis that we're moving in to full force now. And we are also in an eclipse sandwich because we're closing out the old chapter this month. And that is why this month is going to be powerful. There's going to be a little bit of this reality check that I believe that we are going to be dealing with, because even though the lunar eclipse is going to be in Taurus and the moon is exalted in Taurus, it is going to be an effective and very powerful closure of the Taurus-Scorpio axis that we have gone through. I think ultimately what we're diving into is ending some type of betrayal pattern. Also, we're going to be, moving through an ending of a journey that brought maybe some sadness, that brought maybe some shocks to some people. It brought a new way to live your life with different resources. You may have shifted into utilizing different things that you needed in your life and you didn't know that you needed them. And so a lot of these foundations that you've been laying when it comes to trust and loyalty, but also betrayal, these are the axes that we have moved through and we're ending them. We are coming to a closure. But of course, it comes with a pivot point in relationships. So what we're moving into now is the relationship zone, because we are in Libra season. We're going to be highly focused on partnerships, relationships, friendships, networking, any kind of moral and ethical issues, anything that we're trying to bring to justice. These are the types of things that we are going to be focusing on, or things that will come into our periphery. I also think that there's going to be an energy of challenges that come up. And this will have to do because there is a lot of Mercury and Mars action. And of course, Pluto is moving direct, which I will cover in my report tomorrow that I'm going to be uploading. And so, just know that the frustrations that come up this month, or the challenges that are coming up this month, they're there to help us understand how to stand up for the right thing. And it might also be a subjective thing, right? I might want to stand up for the thing that I think is right for me, and so will be the other party, but somehow we find a way to understand the pivot points that we need to go through in relationships, in the way in which we're, moving into new chapters, right? Which is what this solar eclipse, I believe, is going to be bringing us on the 14th, or initiating that solar eclipse is going to be good for an entire year, and I'm going to cover that for every individual sign at a later time. But I do believe that the beginning of the month, it kind of, comes with sort of this intense moment of having to focus, having to do things in a different way, approaching things in a different way, and getting very real, because Venus is moving out of Leo, moving into Virgo. That is a reality check in and of itself. All right. This is when we're diving into sort of, oh, wow, I have to have real conversations now. I can't bullshit my way through this anymore, even though we want to. Okay, even though we've been avoiding something, maybe, even though we didn't want to deal with certain situations, now it's like, okay, I'm going to have to let the drama go. I'm going to have this real conversation, because I realize that this is kind of getting in the way of a specific outcome, a specific vibe, a specific feeling. So what I believe that we're ultimately working up towards is overcoming the past, self-improvement at some level through confronting challenges. I do believe that there is going to be a moment this month between the 2nd and the 3rd week of October, where we are addressing matters that have been on our mind. It's been on everybody's mind, but now we're addressing it because of a Mercury cazimi that we're going to be having. So there's a tremendous amount of focus on detail. There is a focus on growth and improving ourselves for the long term. It's not just for this month. And what is it all building up to? It's building up towards letting that past go. Okay, letting past patterns go that have a lot to do with not being able to trust. Okay, trust a person, trust yourself, trust this, trust that, because we have to make things real now. That is what Venus in Virgo is going to be showing us. And then bam, we move into Scorpio season, and that's when things will become definitely real, and we'll be working on sharpening whatever we have moved through in October and putting down the boundaries so that we can help ourselves, okay? Help the situation, help our lives, live our lives a little bit more of this place where we're protected, which is going to be important. That is going to be something that is going to come up. All right, let me check in the chat real quick. I missed the beginning of this. Are you speaking of a certain sign right now? No, I'm not. I'm actually speaking just about the general energies right now. And I'm about to dive into the signs. So we're going to dive into Aries. We're going to start with Aries. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go in the pairs of the signs. So if I'm talking about Aries, next will be Libra, and so on and so forth. And if you're new in the chat and you're hanging out and you're listening to this, I want you to tell me where you're tuning in from, because that is always very interesting to me, and I love connecting to you. And also what sign you are, okay? Sun sign, rising sign. Okay, I felt like you were speaking to me by what you said. Yes, I was also speaking to myself. Because we're all feeling this energy right now. Things have been extremely interesting. Anything that makes sort of, sense that you would think would make sense, you're experiencing the opposite of all those things. And there's a whole reason for all of that. San Antonio, Texas. Woo! Okay, from Malaysia. Wow. Rising, Aries rising. Well, that will be the first sign that I'm going to go through. I'm a Libra with Aquarius moon and Scorpio rising. Whoa, powerful. That's a powerful placement right there. I love that. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go into the signs, and what we're focusing on is I am going to be giving a prediction. Oh, wow. Somebody is, you're Romanian from Spain. Hi. I used to live in Spain. I get easily sidetracked, by the way, so we could have a conversation for hours on here. I used to live in Marbella. In fact, I will never forget sleeping, by the beach, because it was just so nice. I would just sleep by the beach. It's a long story. You are a Leo. Yes. Okay. New Jersey, Scorpio sun and rising. Yes, you know what I'm thinking. I'm glad that you know what I'm thinking, because sometimes I need to know as well. So tell me. The beaches are phenomenal in Spain. That's why everybody wants to go to Spain, okay? Because I used to live in Germany, and that's, where I was born and raised, and that's where my family lives. And a lot of the people in Germany, they go to Spain, and at first, when I was younger, like, you would always hear from people that, go there. And then finally, when I went there, because, I followed my boyfriend at the time, and he was from Spain. So I lived in Spain for a little while, and it was so beautiful. I was like, now I know why everybody is going to Spain. Okay, so what I was going to say, because I got sidetracked from my Spain friend in here, who is a Leo, what I wanted to say was, we're going to go through all of the 12 signs, but I am not going to be talking just about the same transit for each of the sign. I'm actually going to be talking about specific things, because I feel like that'll be the most important thing for you to hear. And then, you'll connect the dots. And then at the end, I'll stick around for a couple of questions. If you have any questions, just let me know. If you are listening to this and you're like, what do I listen to? Sun, moon, rising. You can listen to all three. Astrology can be super expansive. If you're new, I highly recommend that you're listening to your rising sign, because that is going to give you the most accurate sort of picture of what is happening right now. So that's what I highly recommend that you are, listening to. Okay, let's start with Aries. Aries, I want to talk about the effects of the lunar eclipse that are going to be happening. Of course, they're going to be happening for you on October 28th. And this eclipse is going to be an intense moment for you to start dealing with anything that has to do between your second and the eighth house. And by the way, when I'm looking down, I just want to show you, I'm looking at my chart, and because there's a million things we need to cover, so I need to be able to follow. So it's happening between your second house of money and the eighth house of trust. So this is going to be an intense time for many of you. This is a sense of urgency, okay? A sense of urgency to deal with money matters, with productivity matters, with things that have to do also with commitments that you have to other people that involve money. This can also be, in regards to relationships. Let's face it, it's Libra season. We're going to be dealing with relationship dynamics as well. So that has to do with your work. It has to do with your image with those relationships, and money ties all into it. And ultimately, what do I believe that you are going to be working through this particular month, Aries, is that there are some conflicts and arguments that are happening. And I think that you've been going through it for too long. So one of the things that needs to end here is the arguments that are happening with specific, either a relationship or a specific, dynamic that you're in where other people are involved. But for many of you, I see it's just one particular, relationship, and money matters tie into it. So what you're doing and what you're working out is to make sure that there is a new plan. And you have to sort of, maybe realize that you need this plan. You need a specific goal. And you might have to deal with some delays. You might have to actually look at why you feel like things have to move forward in a particular timeline, and what you need to do or who you need to become, Venus in Virgo, which is going to be for you in your sixth house, who you need to become on the day-to-day basis so that you can deal with delays or things not going your way. Because there is ultimately a little bit of this fear that you're going through right now that has a lot to do with what happens if I don't get what I want? Okay? It comes up sometimes. We need that polarity, all right? It sucks. What can we do about it? I think for you, you are moving through that because you are to identify what happens when you just have a little bit of this slowdown, and somehow it redirects your focus to relationships and money matters and any kind of bad vibes that are attached to it. And what do you do about that? There's a pressure to deal with those types of things. And it's not like you have been avoiding it, but I just think that it comes into your awareness a little bit more. So you're ending impacts that have been made on you through, commitments and maybe some trust issues, or maybe you are the person that has a trust issue. You might be the person that is like, I am afraid to commit in this kind of a way. I'm afraid to share my bank accounts. I'm afraid to, call myself productive or share my productivity in a particular way, with another person or assets or resources, something like that. Okay. So that's what I think that you're going to be moving through. Just remember, when you come into November, a lot of these things will be resolved, and then you'll be through this portion. And you will have a lot of clarity here. You will be happy that you have dealt with it, but definitely use this month to dive right in and to identify what you need to cut out or let go or revise. And also, by the way, if you've been on these lives with me for a long time, I always have something dying. It's either my phone or now it is my computer that is blinking at me and it says low battery. So I'm going to go grab the charger. I thought I had it plugged in, but you know what? I need to go grab the charger. I'm going to be right back. We are plugged in. We're charging right back up. All right. So to wrap up Aries, that's where we're at. Hi, everybody. Hi. To wrap up Aries, what should you be focusing on? Focus on the small successes this month. Focus on everything that is making you feel happy, and take note of that, because all of the other things that are being shown to you, you are to work through it, okay? And this is a month to work through it, truly. Don't avoid anything this month. You are to work through it. Okay, so Libra. Libra, obviously this is going to be in the opposite realm for you. So it is going to be a lunar eclipse that is going to unfold in the 8th house. And this is your psychology. This is you taking a look at your depths, all right? This is you really focusing on how you commit to people. However, I do want to share this with you. This month, it is about protecting, because you're still going through changes. So there's a part of you that wants to sort of get super hype and share stuff, spill the beans. You might, be out there trying to like share with people stuff about your life, but it's not the month to do it. You still have to go through that lunar eclipse in Taurus. And that is also going to be directly looking at your 2nd house of resources. So you want to keep this area protected. Pluto is going to go direct in the 4th house for you, which also means that, you're still going through these changes that you're going to be adjusting when it comes to stuff that you feel comfortable with. So what you need to do this month is zip it, okay? Keep everything that you're doing to yourself. Make sure that you guard your thoughts. Make sure that you're not, sharing too much with people, because it can kind of bring you into a situation that will not go well. Because the other thing that you need to keep in mind, Libra, is the energies this month with everybody, it's a little feral, okay? It's like everybody is going to be in this like intense realm, because we're all going through, still some changes. We're, finishing up an intense North and South Node transit. So it's going to be super important for you to let yourself live your life. Of course, it's not like you can't share anything, but anything that makes you still feel like you have to work on this, you have to strengthen this, you have to make a more, more moves towards emotional stability. You need to guard this area still. Okay, because sometimes I think because with cardinal signs, just like for Aries, it's the same for you. There's sort of like we're jumping towards that thing, and then all of a sudden, oopsie, I shared too much. Shit, now I'm in trouble. So I want you to keep that in mind this month, because you are going through a lot of changes, and it might have some intense moments, and you want to give yourself that time to protect your space and to continue to work on things that are really important to you and feel very, very solid in them before you're going to go out there and share, with other people. So that's going to be my biggest message for you. All right, we're going to move on to Taurus. Okay, Taurus, what it looks like right now, okay, is that you're going through a personal change in what it means to trust people. Okay, this is sort of coming down the pipes, but it's something that is playing out a little bit. Now, at the same time, not only are you going to be taking a look at relationships, or things will be pointed out to you about relationships, but the other thing that you're going to start to notice is that you as a person, you have changed. Okay, so, and you're continuing to change, you're continuing to evolve. And because you have been putting in a lot of changes in relationships, or even, agreements with other people, the other thing that is also occurring is that you have been working on stuff that has been really, really personal to you. And it looks like for many of you that October starts out a little bit like, even though Pluto moves direct, a little bit like this slowness to it. Or you're waiting for something. You're waiting for an answer. You're waiting for something very specific. You're wanting a specific outcome, and maybe even it ties into other projects that tie into finances, even though Pluto moves direct in your 1st house. The reason why I'm bringing all of this up is because it is tied into the future plans with the other aspects you're going to have in your chart. So just know that the slowdown that you're going to experience in the beginning of this month has a lot to do with the fact that there's a plot twist coming, okay? So for many of you, this plot twist is going to occur because don't forget, Uranus is in the first house. There's a plot twist. There is a change that you need to make, adjustments that you need to make that you didn't even think about. It has to do with yourself. It has to do with how you portray yourself to other people. It has to do with your future plans. So even though you might be looking for that change or for a particular news or particular outcome that you're trying to create, just know that it is going to happen, but you need to sort of wait. It's almost like the stars are like, yeah, you're going to get there, but you need to pay attention to some other thing that is going to play out, and that plot twist is going to happen. And so, it's going to be like mid-month, okay? Mid-month, that's what I'm seeing here. It's going to sort of lead to adjustments that will be good in the long run. And that is the most important message for you, Taurus. So you have to watch for that. We're going to talk a little bit more about that in my other podcast that I'm going to be posting. But just know that finally, you're going to be able to kind of find some relief by Pluto moving forward, but it's not really until November. Just make sure that you value where you're at right now, okay? Embrace where you're at right now. Watch what happens first. Make the adjustments, and you will know what I'm talking about. Okay, so we're moving on to, okay, let me go back because I get distracted a lot. So what's happening for you, Scorpio? A lot of you, this is obviously going to be in the opposite for you. So you've got, a lot happening between the first and the seventh house. You have been changing through your relationships. You have been looking at your relationships. You've been reevaluating your relationships. You have been just working on yourself. And somehow this month, for many of you, what I'm seeing with all the other planets is that you've been sort of hesitating to end certain things. And that is going to come out. That's going to be pointed out to you. It's being highlighted to you. And it's aspects of your life that you have been waiting, you've been holding on to because you have been working on creating maybe specific outcomes, a project, waiting for a specific time because you felt like that would be the right time to end that relationship, the network, the group, the thing that you're attached to. And so I think that this month, what a lot of you are going to experience is that these events are going to happen sooner than what you expected. So it comes kind of like right before your season starts. So one of the things that I think that you need to take into consideration is that you may have overlooked certain strategies or plans that you've been wanting to put into place, or overlooked something inside of your strategy or the next step or the next move that you're trying to make, or relationship shifts that you're trying to, create. You may have overlooked some details, and, the last week of October is when you're going to work out these details. And then from that moment forward, you're going to be unstoppable. Now, I do want to talk a little bit for you guys about Chiron. And why am I pointing this out? There could be some fears still that you are working out when it comes to having faith, keeping your faith, okay? Having that faith and moving forward with that faith and really diving into what it means to, keep your faith and keep things in your life balanced between what is happening in real time, but also what you specifically need on a spiritual sense. So there's some fears around that or some triggers around that could be going on this month. And one of the things that I want to just say to you is that try to keep, things in perspective by keeping them simple, because there's a lot that's going on and a lot of people might be projecting this month. And so you have to, maybe recognize here that it's time for you to maybe not hold yourself back when things happen and they trigger you. It kind of puts you into this place, because it's your 12th house, kind of puts you into this place where you might entertain some insecurities, but you know, it's just an insecurity, okay? And it's time for you to jump all in. And that's what the last piece of October is going to be like for you. And so jump right in. It's time now, okay? It's time now to make a bolder move. It's time now to start up a project. It's time now to, you know, go into that unstoppable part about yourself and not look back, okay? So a little bit of this dynamic with Chiron could come up towards, you know, all around the end of October. So make sure you're, you know, checking that out or being mindful of that energy. Okay, let's move on to Gemini. Now, where's Pluto for you? It is in the 8th house. What's the 8th house? It's your psychology, your commitments. It is many other things, but it's all of those things, like who you are in the background, okay? And your commitments to those things and your trust, how you develop your trust, ultimately is what the 10th house is. So, I mean, the 8th house is. So there's a square that is happening between Pluto and Mars, and it's happening in the beginning of the month. And Mars will then move on and kind of free itself a little bit more because it's going to make a couple other transits that will bring growth, okay? It is going to go into a trine with Saturn, which is going to be in your career house. What does all of this mean for you? I think a lot of you have been thinking a lot about things lately. You have been thinking a lot about people. You've been thinking a lot about the impacts of people on your life. It's been stressful. There's been pressure. Some of you have looked at every single aspect of a specific challenge that you have had, and no matter how you look at it, okay, it's happened, and it's happened a year ago, and there's so many other layers that have happened to this challenge and this story. Why are you taking a look at it? Because it wasn't allowing for you to fully move on and like express yourself and do the things that are really fun and, you know, go explore more about what is possible when it comes to your career, what is possible when it comes to the things that you're having fun with, or even with your kids. So much has happened here. So there's another plot twist that is coming to this particular challenge. And it has a lot to do with things you never thought it would play out this way. But what comes up at the end of this month is that there is finally a breakthrough, and it frees you in your career. It is going to be new goals. It's going to be clarity. It is going to be things that are going to help you to actually move forward. You know, we talk a lot about moving forward in astrology, but this transit for you at the end of the month is going to be very freeing. It's going to bring much needed clarity, and it's also going to be a moment where you're going to release some stress because you're ending a big journey that had a lot to do with unpredictability. It had a lot to do with like unpredictability in a sense like you weren't free, and a lot of the stuff that was happening, it was kind of out of your control because maybe somebody else had power over a situation. Somebody else was the decision maker. Somebody else was able to, you know, basically lay down the law, and it was impacting you and it was stressing you out. And so you get this relief towards the end of the month. It's over. Okay. And accepting that sounds really weird because you wouldn't, out of all the signs, you wouldn't have any issue accepting it, but accepting this new chapter is going to be key because at some level, I think you've gotten used to this energy around things that are really important to you, things that, you know, you've been dealing with. It's almost like turned into this challenge that, you know, is it ever going to end? Is it ever going to end? And so what happens when it ends, you know? So it's a miracle in a way, all right? There is also new opportunities that are going to come with this, and new opportunities for you to collaborate and connect to people in the same job, in the same, you know, group that you're a part of, or the networks that you're a part of, you know, that come together for a common goal. There's going to be new opportunities with that, and I think it's going to just free you. I mean, you're going to feel so free once this shift happens, okay? You're going to be able to just kind of move into a new territory. And so just go to a spa. at the end of the month. Treat yourself a little bit, let go of stress, because I know for many of you it's been good in so many ways, but it also could have been a lot of stress. So you're just like letting go at the end. Okay. So any kind of challenges that might be coming up, or any kind of confrontations, or any situations where you have to speak up, this is going to be really important that you do this month, because your opinion is going to be really important, because you have a lot to add to the story that maybe other people didn't know how you actually felt. So this is going to be really important as well. Now, Sagittarius, this is obviously going to be in the opposite houses for you. So Pluto is going to just really allow for you to come out of your shell a little bit more this month. And more is going to happen as you're building up to your season. It looks like a lot of you have been dealing with nasty situations. Somebody asked, what sign am I on? Sagittarius now. Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising. So I'm going with all the pairs. So I just did Gemini, so now I'm doing Sagittarius. So then after that, I'm going to do Cancer, Capricorn, and we're moving down the list. Okay, so Sagittarius. Looks like many of you have been dealing with a nasty situation. It was horrible. It was not good. It was people that were trying to overpower you. People were trying to show you they're better than you. Somehow people who, maybe even brought some kind of legal issue to your periphery. It could have been some kind of threatening of legal issues as well. Okay, for some of you, it's going to be a little bit less intense than that. But I do know some Sagittarius that actually have been going through this. So essentially, people who try to blame you for what it is that they couldn't achieve. And it really didn't have anything to do with you. It's just kind of like, it's somehow because you were a part of the group or part of like this circumstance, this situation. And so you got, pulled into it. And so what's happening is that you're receiving some news this month and you realize the situation is coming to an end for the better. And you are going to instantly be in a good mood. Instantly, you're coming a little bit more out of your shell. And instantly, there's sort of this, realization that this chapter of your life is over. Now, while this is happening, what's really interesting is that at the same time, you are going to be in a position where a new story is unfolding. And inside this new story, there is a relationship that comes into your life. Maybe a new relationship, could also be a relationship from the past. Regardless, it brings up a trigger from the past, okay? It brings up something that, like an old fear, something you've dealt with from the past. And some situation that reminds you that, you were avoiding this kind of a thing. You didn't want to really deal with it. So it throws you off. Like, you have this one thing that's ending, and then there's this new thing that's happening. And it all has to do with things that you're really passionate about. It all has to do with things that are really important to you at this time. Okay, that puts you kind of center stage, that makes you feel like you are being seen, like you're being heard. But at the same time, there's this new thing that's evolving. And so there could be a tendency for you to avoid important conversations, important connections, or important negotiations with relationships, or this one particular relationship. So what I'm here to tell you is that this is not to be avoided this month, because whatever it is that you think that you are avoiding here, you need to make sure that you are not doing the same thing. You're not having that same sort of doubt or the same pattern that is coming from the past. Instead, embrace the situation, go into it, confront it, talk, speak your mind, whatever comes up, be in that, story, because it's all not going to repeat. It's actually a new outcome. But that's the tricky thing this month, okay? That's going to trip you up a little bit. The other thing is also that you are going to have a fresh start when it comes to your career and things that are really important to you, things that make you feel good when it comes to your career, when it comes to goals around career. So you owe yourself not to repeat the past by having the same exact approach, buy a new approach, fresh start, blank canvas, all right? You owe that to yourself this month. So that's what I'm here to tell you. You know, shifting in the way in which you might also be working might come up, you know, timelines that you're shifting the way in which your schedule is going to look like. Just allow for these changes to happen, because a part of you will, you know, again, just a brief moment, you might feel like, oh no, you know, I don't want to deal with another, you know, nasty situation. It's not like that at all. It appears to be. It's actually a whole new, fresh beginning if you don't fall into that same pattern again. And that's going to be really, really important right here, okay, for October. All right, let's move on to Cancer. Cancer. I want to talk about, what do I want to talk about with Cancer? Okay, Cancer, I want to talk about let's see here. I want to talk a little bit about your mindset with your chart. I also want to talk about Saturn. Why? That Mars trine Saturn, it's unfolding today. Also, Mercury is going to trine Saturn. That is going to happen October 22nd. Why do I want to talk about that? So Saturn is in your 9th house, the house of beliefs. It's the bigger picture, but it's also the way in which, you know, your mindset is, okay? Because your beliefs are tied into that mindset. The houses always work together. So Saturn being in the 9th house here, I feel that this is really an important time for you to address in the, like, how you think. How you think really, not that you don't have awareness of it, but this month there is a spotlight on how you think, what you think, and perhaps doubts. There's some doubts that you're dealing with that will be highlighted for you. It looks like that the stars are really wanting for you to have a breakthrough in not doubting yourself in what it is that you're believing in. And perhaps this has to do with you just believing in yourself, okay? Because you've had Venus in the 2nd house of money and resources. It's going to move into the 3rd house. So this is helpful to you. It's helpful to you because it is going to show you how you think through other people as well, and relationships. And also someone very specific is coming back into the picture here. Somebody who you think that you can trust. And I just want to say this to you, you can't. I repeat, you cannot trust this person. This is someone who may have even stopped talking to you. This is someone who has maybe avoided you at some level. And this person's coming back into the picture. And you have to move forward. You can't backtrack here, all right? Person is there for a specific reason, but you will only find out if you are paying attention to what it is that they're saying to you, what they're asking, and they're pretty sneaky, okay? This particular alignment that you have here and what I'm seeing for you in your chart, anything that you say to this person will be used against you, or they will use it against you, and they've proven it in the past. And a specific person who has connections to a lot of people. So I wanted to just say that that's something that is coming up for me, for you very strongly here. And at the same time, as this situation is unfolding, you are working on believing more in yourself. Somehow these two stories tie together. You really letting go of doubt, because maybe in the past, somebody has done something that triggered you to think that you can't believe in yourself in the way in which you're thinking, the way in which you're communicating. But that's sort of over now, okay? And that is what this month is all about, is that's what you're highlighting. You're working on breaking through, and also on situations or mindset that make you feel like you're stuck. Undoing those, you know, is going to be really, really important. Of course, there's going to be annoying situations, I think, that you might be dealing with just because Saturn is in the 9th house. That's a lot of constraint. That's a lot of discipline that you are applying when it comes to your beliefs. But at the same time, you do have Uranus in the 11th house, which is helping you here to have some breakthroughs, especially towards the end of the month, when it comes to how you communicate, how you speak to people, and what constraints or boundaries need to happen here as well. All right. This has to do with relationships because you have Pluto in the 7th house. So this has to do with relationships as well. A lot of this will come together, but it all comes from the way in which you think and how you think. And focusing on this is going to be super, super important. The most important thing I want to leave you with is you have to move forward. You have to move forward, okay? You cannot stay stuck in the past. You got to move forward. You can't go past into those past relationships and stay stuck with those people either. You're going to have to move forward. And that's going to be highlighted to you. It's going to be pointed out to you. It's not going to be easy to deal with, but it's going to be so worth it. You're going to protect yourself from situations that people then take whatever it is that you do, that you say, and then they hold it up against you or they use it somehow to hurt you, all right? These are the things that you're moving forward from. I am doing sign readings, and I just finished up Cancer, and I'm moving to Cancer's opposite sign, which is Capricorn. So I'm going to be talking about Capricorn now. Capricorn. Obviously, we're going to be talking about, for you, obviously it's all just opposite in the houses. So what's happening this month? I want to talk about the most important stuff here. I think that I'm seeing for many of you is a lot of you have been working on yourself, specifically in regards to expectations that other people have on you. The expectations that people have and how much they've impacted you no longer impact you. And this month highlights that. This month shows that you are free from those expectations. And there is going to be naturally a moving forward that is happening because Pluto is moving direct. We've got Venus shifting into Virgo. We've got a lunar eclipse, a solar eclipse. We've got the whole thing. So many of us are in this place where things are moving, okay? Things are changing, things are shifting. And for you specifically, it has to do with you no longer worrying about what other people really expect of you. Now, there is going to be resistance towards you moving on this way, you being different. You will find that you're going to see resistance towards that. And that is obviously okay because you've been working really, really hard on making sure that you're believing in yourself in a whole new way. So you're going to be tested a little bit here by sticking to this new version of yourself that you've been working on really hard and loving on yourself the way that you have been doing. But you've been doing it sort of in kind of a private version, but now it's more in a public version. And I think that you'll see that the resistance that you're experiencing is just really a test to hold your ground, to hold your energy. Okay, so the other thing that I want to say to you is that anything that you have been avoiding, it's really good to dive into dealing with those things head on this month. Pluto is going to be moving direct. For you, this is going to happen in the first house. Anything that you've been avoiding is going to be pure energy, transformation for you this month. If there's anything you've been putting on, if there's been anything on the to-do list, on the checklist, on the calendar, anything you've been like, this is overwhelming, I can't deal with it. Now is the time to deal with it. Now is the time to go for it. Because once you're going for it, the more you're going to realize you're going to be inspired. The more you're going to realize you're going to have vitality. The more you're going to realize that, things are starting to move forward in a sense that you feel really good about yourself. And there is a specific idea and specific inspiration that you're going to get. And that is worth paying attention to. That is going to solve a lot of issues. It's going to tie into career, tie into yourself, into relationships, into just philosophies, methodologies, okay, approaches that you're going to be taking. It's tying into all sorts of aspects of your life, but it's this inspiration that you're getting. So whatever is sort of stuck on the list, undo that. Dive into it. Make it happen. It could be as little as like cleaning out your closet. It because you've got so much clothes accumulation. I don't know what it is, okay? But there's something that you need to take care of that really requires your attention this month, and that is going to be key. Okay, so your key here is knowing that your happiness doesn't depend on others. Your happiness obviously doesn't depend on, the expectations that other people have on you, and that is going to be proven to you because you've been working through it, and at the same time you're moving forward with a new inspiration and idea that is going to become a big thing. Seems like a little thing right now, but it's going to be a big thing as you move forward. Okay, Leo. What do I want to talk about, Leo? So first and foremost, I just want to say with a lot of Leos, I have to say many of you have maybe felt a little bit like you had to constrain yourself, or you've been maybe holding on to a certain aspect of your life that has to do with money. Okay. Obviously, I'm not sure why this has been happening for many of you. I mean, I take a look at, your chart, but I feel like a lot of you have been constraining yourself because you've had a big shift. Saturn moved into your 8th house. That's a big deal. All right? Because a lot of your mastering and attention and responsibilities have shifted into the way in which you're sharing yourself financially with another person. And there is sort of a reality check maybe that you have to develop this side of yourself where you may have commitments or you may have responsibilities that tie into money, that tie into, sharing the rent or sharing, the mortgage, or feeling like you're gonna have to make more money somehow, because Saturn can bring that kind of a thing here. Now, there may have been also sort of fears attached to it, because you not only have Saturn here, but also Neptune. Okay, you've been taking a look at this. There could be fears that could come up because we've got Venus now dropping out of your 1st house into the 2nd house of money. And then we're going to have Black Moon Lilith dropping out of the 1st house into the 2nd house. There could be fears around money, like, are you going to make it? Are you going to create enough? Are you going to have enough in abundance to keep the lifestyle that you want? To have a focus on your health. A lot of you have been working through new health regimes or lifestyle changes, new approaches to your health, or you may have been dealing with certain health stuff that you were like, this is a mystery. What am I supposed to do? You may have to purge in a way, do a cleanse in a way, stuff like that, because Pluto is in your 6th house. So Pluto is now going to move direct in the 6th house for you. And this means that you are going to be working through a lot of setbacks, or what you felt like was a failure, which it wasn't a failure. It was totally adding to your life, but you felt stuck. You felt like you couldn't maybe get out of this, sort of felt a little dark, felt a little bit like you needed to crawl out of this hole a little bit or something like that, okay? You're coming out of it. This month is going to definitely show you that, none of this stuff was happening for no reason. It was happening so that you can understand how to handle adversity. So you can understand how to believe in your abilities when there is adversity, when there is challenges that are coming up. This is a time where you're increasing self-trust, because Venus in Leo has been rebooting that self-trust. But now it's about, okay, that self-trust, I'm going to have to carry this into the money aspect, into the resource aspect, into the way in which I'm sharing myself with somebody else, and the responsibilities that I have. And, I'm wanting to do X, Y, Z, or I'm wanting to create more. I'm wanting to be more responsible with the way in which I'm bringing in money. And so now if I want to persevere, okay, I am going to have to face challenges. And the way I'm doing that is I have to, trust myself that things are going to happen. Now, where is this trust coming from? It is going to come from the 6th house. Pluto moving direct here in the 6th house. It's going to take a little bit, okay? Give it some time, like, you know, mid-month, end of the month. You're going to start to see that all of the boundaries you were setting in regards to your lifestyle, all of the health changes you've been making, all the lifestyle upgrades that you have been going through, they are going to start to pay off, okay? Just remember that. They're going to start to pay off. And Pluto here may also show you that you need to have more boundaries than you've realized before. That's another thing, okay? Because Pluto moving direct here, it's going to show you, okay, I need even more boundaries for certain relationships. You've got stuff happening in your 3rd house, you know, Libra season. There's relationships, a lot of conversations, and there could be relationships that are still continuing to kind of cross the boundary. And so you have to put those boundaries down that then impact the way in which you think. They distract you from what it is that you need to do. Those are the types of things that I believe that you're going to be strengthening. So really good month for you to dive into all that we just talked about. Okay, Aquarius. Let's move on to Aquarius. So Aquarius, what do I want to talk to Aquarius about? Obviously, again, all that stuff is happening opposite. Well, let's talk about Pluto first, because Pluto is going to be moving direct in your 12th house. This has to do with you really changing karma, okay? The 12th house is everything that encompasses of patterns that have to do with karma, patterns that have to do in the unseen, the way in which we're approaching life, the way in which we are, what we believe about life in general, you know, the meaning of things is what I'm trying to say. So you have been undoing and redoing a lot about trusting, you know, your own faith and trusting that you're not doomed, that patterns can be changed. Pluto, that's so funny. I said Trudeau. Pluto is, you know, kind of showing you here that it's time for you to understand that this chapter of your life is coming to an end. The connections that you've had that kind of forced you to learn a lot about yourself, those connections are also coming to an end. Now, because it's the 12th house, for many of you, I do see that this month you are going to come to a situation or an interaction that is going to mimic an old pattern. You know, whenever Pluto goes direct, we're moving forward. Of course, we're not reviewing things anymore, but it's sort of like, okay, now there is more action behind this forward movement, and it can bring up something that mimics a pattern that have to do with power struggles. And it has to do with a person that it wasn't pleasant to deal with this person. Let's just say that, okay? And it could be that at some level, not only it wasn't pleasant to deal with this person, but there was something nasty about them, or they were disgusting, okay? Just because it's the 12th house, it brings up an old pattern that doesn't feel good. So it mimics this particular old pattern. Why is this coming up? Because whenever we take a look at the 12th house, we could be taking a look at not feeling good enough, feeling less than, not feeling worthy or something. All right. And this person could trigger that. Okay. Just because of the way in which you're talking or putting, you know, people down. Now, what's going to be really important is that this is being shown to you because at some level, this is going to fire you up to start focusing on certain tasks that are going to help you to know that it's time to focus on everything that's going to pull you even more out of circumstances and connections and people that you've had this kind of, you know, experience with. It's over, all right? It's not like you're going to be reliving it. It's over. But it's sort of a reminder right now for you to just realize how much growth you've made, that it's time for you to collaborate with people in a new way, because there has been a lot of experience with collaborations or others or partnerships in a way where you couldn't maybe, trust the person. All right. And it's going to be really, really important for you this month to look at all the things that have happened that put you off track and to get back on track, especially towards the end of the month. You are going to be lasering in, focusing on just accepting the new changes, okay, that you've been specifically working on how to protect yourself. Because not only does Pluto point out a lot of the triggers and stuff like that is happening, but it also has to do with trust, and it also has to do with protection. So a lot of you are going to be, not only seeing the evidence that, yes, you are protecting yourself way better. You've learned so much. Yes, there are some people that still are kind of around, floating around, that kind of mimic this pattern where you just always feel so gross after interacting with them, and it's time to let that go. And also that, how strong you've become in boundary setting, how strong you are now to really move on with projects, right? Because the world out there is waiting for you. It's time to put yourself back out there. It's time to not hold yourself back in that kind of a way anymore. But that requires for you to believe that you can move on now. Believe that you can trust yourself now. Believe that you have all the boundaries set in place so that you can move on into new chapters that are really personal and really important to you. And that's what I'm seeing here. Okay. Let's move on to Virgo. Virgo. Wow, Virgo, where do we start? I don't even know where to start, Virgo, because honestly, I feel like the first thing I feel like saying to you is that this is just the beginning, okay? You have been dealing with a standstill. You have been dealing with feeling stuck, feeling trapped. You have been dealing with situations or energy, so to speak, okay, where you've wanted to get something off the ground. You wanted to move forward with something, and then all of a sudden you realized, okay, it would fall flat, or you had something, a goal, a desire, a certain aim that's so personal to you, it's so important to you, and every time you tried to approach to get it off the ground, it was like, okay, it's not happening. And it would show you that it wasn't the right time for it. So what I believe is happening right now is that this month is changing that. You're going to start to see that everything that you're doing, it's going to pick up 3 times faster, 5 times faster, okay? 10 times faster for some of you. It's going to be the right time now. And the standstill is over. Why is the standstill over? Okay, Venus is dropping into your first house. You're going to start to feel like there is a new sense of self. All right, there's support for what it is that you need, for what it is that you're wanting to do. There's proof of support. Okay, and anything that you're doing this month is going to be accepted and received so much faster. People are going to hear you much better. That's another thing. You do want to pay attention to blessings that are going to be coming through when it comes to money, because you are going to have a lot of attention here in the second house, the house of resources. Obviously the sun is there. There is a sense that you're moving on and you've got everything that you need in order to make things happen. And so the only thing that could maybe get in the way here for you is you really believing that this is happening now. All right. Accepting that. The faster that you're accepting that, the better, because a part of you, because you've been stuck for a while, you've been in a standstill for a while, a part of you could feel like, wow, is this really happening right now? Is this really expanding me right now? Like this opportunity, this situation, the stuff that's happening. There could be fears that this is, again, not the time or the right time. And it's all just echoes from the past. You can't pay attention to that. You got to move forward. The time is amazing. The time is right now. All right. because if you're not doing it now, you're not going to do it later either. So if there's any project, anything that is important to you, anything you've been working on, this is the time to get it out. This is the time to make it happen. This is the time to speak up. If you've been wanting a promotion, this is the time to go for that promotion. Some of it you will attract towards you anyway. It'll come to you naturally, and you'll be like, wow, I didn't even have to lift a finger. It's like right there. It's amazing. So I think that is what a lot of the Virgos are going to be experiencing this month. You are going to be ending a very big sort of time that has a lot to do with changing your mindset, changing your beliefs, changing sort of your philosophies on how you approach communication with other people. You've learned a lot. You've learned quite a bit about yourself, about life, about situations, about things like how the world functions. There's been so much that you've gathered and you've learned from that. And I think that all of that is going to now turn into this new amazing chapter that is going to be more full of love. Okay. That's the best way to put it. There's more love coming towards you and your life, and you just feeling like, the timing now is so different because you've gone through a lot, and it's time for you to bring out this other side about yourself that can enjoy life, that has all the support that you deserve, that you at the time, were kind of being told by the world that you wouldn't get it. So it's time to move on now. All right, Virgo, it's time to let those things go. And the stuff that happened in the past, you're going to get an opportunity to share it. Not right now. Right now, it's all about accepting the good stuff that's coming towards you and moving on, all right, in a way where you are making and becoming the things that were very personal to you, and you're moving towards it, whether that's a new image, whether that is a new way in which you want to be seen. All of those things are going to be important. That's what I'm seeing here, okay? Now, moving on to Pisces. Okay, Pisces. Similar to what's happening, but also very different in the sense that a lot of you are going to be shifting your focus. What's being illuminated this month for you has a lot to do with your social reputation. Okay, we've got Pluto in the 5th house. It has a lot to do with, it's the opposite for you. So it's going to be in the 11th house. So it has a lot to do with your social reputation, your position in the world. It has to do with you aiming higher. And a lot of you maybe feel like you're going to be working through fears this month where you feel like, am I supposed to be aiming higher? Can I do this? Will this happen? Will I have everything that I need in order to aim higher? And the answer is yes, you are going to aim higher, but you also have to be going all in. You've got to be all in. All right. You have to recognize also, because the 5th house and the 11th house, those can be houses of competition. So realizing that you might have competition, realizing that you may have to sort of put up a little bit more of this assertive energy is all good. Okay. Where do you see yourself in the future? What do you want to be known for? What do you want to make space for your life, for the long-term goals, and ultimately have fun in what it is that you're doing, right? Because that's where you want to go. So this month is about massive action taking. You have to take action. Otherwise, it's not going to happen, okay? You have to take action when you feel fear. You have to take action when you are doubting yourself. You have to take action when you're like, oh, I don't know, you're going into some kind of comparison thing with yourself and somebody else. The way that you're going to move through all of that is by taking action and knowing that things are changing for you in a big way, and you are going to be supported all the way. All right? You have to keep the faith. That's a thing right now, because there could be some fears that you might not have the support, or some kind of like not being able to hold the relationships that you want in a particular way. And that's true because some of you as you are manifesting a higher goal and a different kind of social reputation, some of your relationships are going to change, okay? It's just the way that it is. You are growing, your energy is changing, and some relationships will not. They will not come with you, and it's okay, you know? It's just where everybody else is at. So, you know, some relationships need to end. And I think that that is going to be a clarity that you're going to be illuminating as well for yourself. But then there's also new goals and new visions for the relationships you do want to keep, that are moving forward with you, that are going to be really, really important for the long term. And so there's going to be a new vision or a new goal or a new aim in those relationships that you're going to be able to work out. Okay? So that's what I'm seeing for the month of October for many of you. This was just some of the predictions. It wasn't all. All right? We're going to, you know, as the month progresses, we'll talk a little bit more. There is going to be a solar eclipse that I'm going to be covering more extensively and what that means over the course of next year. So yeah, we covered some of the, I think, what is the most important to kind of pay attention to this month, what you're working through. You got this. You always do. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments and I will always check them out. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here, and I'm going to be back soon. Bye.